Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Thursday, February 12th. And we got a market with this just in a freaking holding pattern, just flopping around. At least the sell-off scare we had from early in the week, late January, early February here has subsided a bit. It looks like we are back in this range, building value. And it is a good sign going forward. It's just kind of sitting here, sitting through the doldrums, uh, the earning season, uh, potential issues which can pop up. We have news this morning, which is pretty much non-existent. Just a little bit. We have jobless claims, existing home sales. So jobless claims at 8:30, existing home sales at 10. We have a 30-year auction at 1. That's it. So I don't think none of that's going to really do a whole lot to move the market. Then, of course, tomorrow we get the CPI read. That's going to be a big deal. And I don't think it's been less and less of an impactful since it's stabilizing, just 2.5, 3, back and forth like that. Unless it starts creeping higher, but if it stays kind of where it's at, it's going to be more of a non-story going forward. So I'm not going to worry too much about that CPI on Friday, but as you can see, we are stuck in this range, around about between the 6880s and the 60 and the 7,020-25s. And we're going to start off exactly the same as we did yesterday, range bound. We're going to sell strength, 6985s, 7,000s, 7,005, 7,020, 7,025s for rotations down. We're going to buy weakness. They're trading at 69.75 now. So the next first one would be 69.65, 69.55, 45s down to the 30s, and 25s for rotations back up again. We also have a level 10 and 6900 as well. We can certainly run it all the way down there, but I mean, yesterday was a pretty good sell-off. They felt like that in the morning, at least, right? It felt like it was pretty much going from a high to the low, and it was. It just wasn't the as much range as you may have thought. So it went from 7,010 down to the 6930, so 80 points. It is good. It's pretty good range, considering. Sometimes you have days in like 15, 20 point range, but a pretty good range for the day, but not really directional. Now we had the employment situation yesterday to deal with, and that came out. That was that early pop, and then a little rotation down. So it was a fallout from that as well. So we'll see. It could be some residual moves coming out of that employment situation. It could be some preparation for the CPI. We have earnings coming out still. I forget Nvidia report earnings. I forget when they do it. But just be mindful. You'll see reactions after the close. Those are usually tech earnings as they come out. But a bad earnings report on one of the big tech companies. I mean, most of them has reported now. So I think Nvidia is left, and maybe a few more. Could certainly also get the market in a bad mood. But right now, I just start off range bound. Look to buy weakness, sell strength, wait for an event, some sort of news event is what's needed to break us out of this range, either to the upside or the downside. It just depends. But that would be a move out of the middle. So we're waiting for that move to occur. And in the meantime, you just kind of stay on that range bound trading style. And I mean, as you can see, even if it felt pretty gnarly, you had the opportunities for a go with type of trade on the downside yesterday. But as you get closer to support area, you just have to look for those setups. Now, yesterday was the V bottom, V top kind of stuff going on, but usually you get a little bit of an opportunity to get on a trade like that. So once you approach an area of support, look for potential failure, and if it doesn't happen, just let it go. If you want to go with type of trade, just let it run. If you want to take profit, look to take profit when it approaches support or resistance area. That would usually be a pretty good one. So that's how we get started. So looking to sell strength against the 6985s, 7,000s, 7,005s, 7,020s, 7,025s for rotations back down. And looking to buy weakness, 75 would be aggressive, but we have the 65s, 55s, 45s, 30, 20, 30, 25s, then 10 and 6900s. So we got the levels to lean against, and let's just see how this whole day shakes out. So that's how we get started. Looking at the Nasdaq, as the Nasdaq is also pretty darn range bound. They have they no retracement back to this attractor at the 700. They're kind of stalling a little bit lower. See that big resistance area we had way back from September, and then they popped. They retraced hard. We have been back up here again. It's kind of that's why we are building value right now around the 25 300s, and upper levels looks to be 430 to 470. The lower edges are not quite as well defined, a little bit sloppy still. This like 760 all the way up here to the 25,000. So I would start off range bound. I would look to sell strength, 380s, 440s up to that 500 level. These three levels, that would be up here against resistance. And we are pretty close to this upper area. It's a little bit crunchy on the upper side. And on the downside, we have a lot of range still not as well defined on the edges on the way down. So if they start heading lower, I would just be hop on the short side if you find an opportunity. Now, I wouldn't be super aggressive on the short side until they start taking out the 150s here. I talked about that yesterday. So if the 200s and the 150 starts coming out, I would start thinking short side. And we still have the 100 and the 70s below that. But if they start taking out a couple of those support areas, I would start thinking, okay, maybe they're going to try to take it lower and try a short trade. But right now, starting off range bound, so looking to buy against the 320s, the 280s, 200s, down to that 150, 160 level, and looking to sell strength at the 390s, 440s up to the 500s for rotations back down. On the way down, if they start heading lower, I mean, there's support areas. I wouldn't say that they're super well defined. You know, it's a little bit sloppier on the way down, and because there's been so much range on that side, it's getting pretty well defined up here in the upper area. Right now, at least as an upper edge. But on the way down here, if they start running lower, I would look to buy against these support areas just a little bit less aggressively as they go lower. Below the 960s, bets are off. I think that's going to get that would be a big change in direction. So I would look to buy. I would look to hop on the short side below the 150s. Still looking to buy into the 100s, 70s, 25,000 down to the 960s, 960s, but not as aggressively at those levels. You give it a little bit more room for that to occur. So that's how we get started on the Nasdaq. And finally, the bonds. That's real quick. They're doing the same thing and drifting back and forth. This one should be a little bit higher there. Missed that one. So we have support resistance, and we are pretty much trading at the range. Yesterday was a pretty good down day after news. They ran it all the way down here, then retraced a little bit, and they're heading back up. So it looks to me like the bond market is trying to take this higher. It's been a slow grind to the upside. And as the market trades higher, prices go higher, the long-term yields come down. So inverse relationship there. So lower yields, higher prices on the bond, but they have been slowly grinding this higher. So yields slowly creeping down, and that's a pretty welcome sign. Now it's going to turn into for the trading day. I would look for early strength. If they can take out that 116.24, I would just stay on the long side. But initially looking for shorts against the 16.16 and the 116.24 for rotations down. They're going to buy against the 10s, the 05s, and the 61.16 for rotations up. I would favor the long side if anything. So looking to buy these pullbacks at the 10 and the 06s early on. It would be probably a pretty good opportunity for retest of these highs potentially higher. This looks pretty much that they've been trying to grind this higher, but it's a little bit higher, back down, a little bit higher, back down. And It looks to me like we may have a trend going here like a slow-mo little trend, taking this higher. So I would favor it alongside if anything, but I would still look for shorts against the 16s and that the 24 level for rotations down. All right, so that's the bonds. Back to the ES and the NASDAQ. And so we got news in about 15 minutes. Not the jobless claims coming out, and then existing home sales at 10. So that's about it, guys. Pretty straightforward, not much else to say about it. Watch for news events, and that could certainly set off the market in a direction. Alrighty, we'll wrap it there. So good trading, guys, and I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. Later.